In management matters, the National Commission on Security and Technology challenges. Congress is trying to answer the call for more communication amid a landmark legal battle between Apple and the FBI. This week, a bipartisan group of lawmakers, led by Senator Mark Warner and Representative Michael McCaul, introduced a bill to create a 16-member commission to do just that. For more, let's turn to Senator Mark Warner. He joins us from our bureau on Capitol Hill. Senator, tell us more about this commission. Who will participate and what are they trying to achieve?
Well, Morris, we started work on this long before the recent case between Apple and the FBI that's playing out in California. I might quickly also add that there's a case in New York that the magistrate actually came out with almost the opposite ruling. So this is an area that will be litigated. So we decided, let's put the experts in the room. Right now, when we see some of the statements made by Apple and frankly some of the statements made by law enforcement, I believe folks are talking past each other. So we said, let's get the tech industry, let's get privacy advocates, let's get law enforcement, both federal and local, let's get the intel community, let's get cryptologists, let's get the kind of folks in a room that candidly should have been put in a room 3 years ago, and if there had been those kind of actions, we probably wouldn't be having this kind of litigation going on right now. I personally believe, as somebody who believes it's critically important that we protect Americans, both in terms of against criminals and terrorists, but also our privacy, that there are ways to sort through this, and that if we end up with a static one-time solution, the end result may be that Americans are actually not safer, and that criminals, terrorists, and frankly others will simply use foreign-based hardware and software.
Now, the Commission's report will also include recommendations for policy, practice, and possibly legislation. It could change the way law enforcement obtains warrants or redefine digital evidence. Do your colleagues in Congress have the technical expertise to keep pace here?
Well, Morris, that's exactly the problem. And as somebody who spent 20 years in the telecom industry, the whole notion of the network that existed in the 90s versus the internet today with the existence of the cloud is fundamentally different. The old network used to be top-down. The networks that we're dealing with now are more distributed. And I feel like I'm fairly up on the technology, but I wouldn't trust me alone to try to figure this out. That's why we need to get a common set of facts. At the end of the day, I don't think this should be litigated out in the courts, particularly when the law that's being applied in the California case is a law that goes back to 1789, the so-called All Writs Act. I think Congress is going to act, but the good news about this is if we can get the common set of facts, this is not an issue that's devolved into Democrats versus Republicans. In the Senate, for example, we have 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans. We're picking up other supporters in both parties. We've had support from law enforcement, from tech, from the privacy community. You know, this is one of those areas, and I know many of the viewers are saying, well, a commission normally sounds like a punt. The model we've tried to say is not to create a commission that would create a set of recommendations that wouldn't be acted upon, but actually a commission modeled after the 9/11 Commission. I think it's of that much significance, digital security, because these issues are just going to get more complicated and come together with that common set of recommendations and common set of facts, and then it'll be incumbent upon us in Congress to take those and pass legislation.
We know it's a thorny issue. The balance between privacy and national security, the fight between Apple and the FBI has been brewing for quite a while. You may have already answered it, but let's pin you down a little bit more. Do you support one side or the other? I
believe that we need a solution set. I think it's going to take weighing the equities on both the tech and privacy side as well as law enforcement. I sit on the Intelligence Committee. The threats against our nation are real. But I also believe that encryption is here to stay. Matter of fact, everyone on the intel side, even Director Comey has said, encryption makes Americans safer. It protects our personal information, our financial information, intellectual capital, and candidly, it's used to protect critical infrastructure all over our country. So encryption is not you're for or against encryption. Encryption is here to stay. How do we then sort through a way that is legal, that respects people's privacy, but also doesn't create, in effect, a back door which could fall into the hands of the bad guys that would make not only the case that is being talked about vis-a-vis certain criminals, but candidly make a lot of our other systems less secure. I actually believe there are technology-based solutions that we could sort through on this, but it's going to require a less adversarial approach from these entities and more collaboration. I've privately had individuals on both sides say, hey, force us into the room. We can work this out. And it's been disappointing to me that we've not had this kind of collaboration, at a major level over the last couple of years. Although there has been some, if you follow the particular case, there has been evidence that Apple and law enforcement have worked together collaboratively on a whole host of issues prior to this litigation.
We wish you luck on Capitol Hill. We'll keep an eye on it as well. Senator Mark Warner, good to have you with us. Thanks.
Thank you, Morris.